Hello and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and with me today is my co-host, Julia.
Hi, everyone. We're so excited to have you here. Today, we have a really important topic to discuss, one that can truly change the way you learn and speak English.
That's right. Think in English or stay stuck. Have you ever noticed that when you speak English, you pause a lot because you're translating from your native language? If so, you might be stuck in the habit of thinking in your native language first, and that could be slowing you down.
Exactly. Many learners struggle with this. They try to translate every sentence in their head before speaking, which makes their English sound unnatural and slow. But today, we're going to help you break free from this habit.
In this episode, we'll discuss why thinking in English is important, how you can train your brain to do it, and practical techniques that will help you speak more fluently and confidently.
So, if you've ever felt stuck, frustrated, or too slow when speaking English, this episode is for you. Stay with us until the end because we'll even give you a special challenge to help you start thinking in English right away.
Let's get started. So, Julia, let's start with the big question. Why do most English learners think in their native language first instead of in English?
Well, Jason, it's completely natural. We grow up using our native language for everything, thinking, speaking, and even dreaming. So when someone learns English as a second language, their brain is still wired to process thoughts in their first language before translating them into English.
That makes sense. But here's the problem. Translation takes time. When you think in your native language first, your brain has to 1. Create the sentence in your native language. 2. Translate it into English. 3. Check if it sounds right. 4. Then finally, say it out loud.
And by that time, the conversation has already moved on. That's why so many learners feel slow, nervous, or even stuck when speaking English.
Exactly. But when you think directly in English, you can respond faster, more naturally, and with more confidence. Imagine having a conversation where you don't have to stop and translate. You just speak. That's fluency.
And not just fluency, it also helps with pronunciation and word choice. When you translate, you might pick words that don't fit naturally in English. But when you think in English, you learn to use words the way native speakers do.
Great point. In fact, many advanced English learners say that the moment they started thinking in English was when they saw the biggest improvement in their speaking skills.
I actually know someone who experienced this. A friend of mine, Maria, used to translate everything in her head before speaking English. She was always nervous and felt like her English was slow, but once she started training her brain to think in English, she felt more confident, and her speaking speed doubled.
Wow, that's inspiring. And that's exactly what we want for our listeners too. If you want to speak fluently, naturally, and confidently, you need to train your brain to think in English. And don't worry, we're going to show you exactly how to do that in this episode.
Yes, but first, let's help our listeners figure out if they're still stuck translating. What are the signs that someone is not thinking in English yet?
Great question. Let's go over that in the next section. All right, now that we know why thinking in English is so important, let's talk about the signs that show you might still be stuck translating in your head. Julia, what's the first sign?
The first sign is pausing too long before speaking. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone asks you a simple question like, "What did you do yesterday?" But instead of answering right away, you freeze for a few seconds, trying to translate the answer from your native language into English?
Yes. And by the time you finally speak, the moment has passed, and the conversation feels awkward. This is a big clue that your brain is still thinking in your first language first.
Exactly. And that brings us to the second sign. You struggle to form sentences quickly. Even if you know a lot of English words, your sentences still come out slowly and sometimes feel unnatural.
That's because your brain is working in two steps. First, forming the sentence in your native language, then translating it into English. Instead of speaking freely, you're doing extra mental work.
Right. And here's another sign. You often feel nervous or frustrated when speaking. If you constantly worry about whether your sentence is correct, it might be because you're trying to match it exactly with the sentence in your native language.
Yes, but languages don't always translate perfectly. A sentence that makes sense in your first language might sound strange in English, and this can make people lose confidence in their speaking skills.
That's so true. And the fourth sign, you choose unnatural words because you're translating directly from your native language. Have you ever heard someone say something in English that sounds a little strange, even though the words are technically correct?
Oh, yes. Like when someone says, "Open the light," instead of "turn on the light." That's a direct translation from some languages.
Exactly. This happens when people translate word for word instead of thinking in English and using the phrases that native speakers actually say.
Great examples. So, if you find yourself pausing too much, struggling to form sentences, feeling nervous, or using unnatural words, chances are you're still stuck translating.
But don't worry, we're going to help you fix this. In the next part, we'll give you practical tips to start thinking in English right away.
Yes! Let's get into the step-by-step methods to train your brain to think in English. Stay with us! All right? Now that we've talked about why thinking in English is important and how to tell if you're still translating, let's move on to the most important part, how to actually train your brain to think in English. Julia, what's the first tip?
The first tip is start with simple words and sentences. If you're not used to thinking in English, don't start with complex ideas. Begin with basic words and phrases you already know. For example, when you wake up, think I'm getting out of bed. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm making coffee. Just narrate your daily activities in English.
That's a great start. The second tip is label things around you. If you're in your room, look around and name objects in English. This is my laptop. That's my phone. I have a cup of tea. This helps your brain connect English words directly to objects instead of translating from your native language.
Exactly. And that leads to the third tip. Talk to yourself in English. If you don't have a conversation partner, be your own partner. Try describing what you see, what you're doing, or even what you're thinking. For example, if you're walking outside, you can say, "The weather is nice today. I need to buy some groceries. I feel happy right now." This builds your confidence and helps you think naturally in English.
That's such a powerful method. And here's another fun way. Think in English before sleeping. At the end of the day, take 1 or 2 minutes to reflect on your day in English. Ask yourself, what did I do today? What was the best part of my day? What do I plan to do tomorrow? By doing this daily, your brain will start to automatically switch to English mode.
Yes, and let's not forget the power of imagination. If you don't have a real conversation partner, imagine one. Think of a topic and pretend you're talking to someone in English. For example, imagine you're meeting a friend and having a conversation like, "Hey, how was your weekend?" "Oh, I went to the park. It was great." Practicing this way prepares your brain for real conversations.
I love that. Here's another useful technique. Change the language of your devices. If your phone, laptop, or social media apps are in English, your brain will automatically get used to seeing and thinking in English throughout the day.
Yes, small changes like that make a big difference. And speaking of small changes, surround yourself with English as much as possible. Listen to English podcasts, watch English videos, and read simple English articles. The more you expose yourself to English, the easier it becomes to think in English.
Absolutely. And one last tip. Be patient and consistent. Thinking in English is like a muscle. You have to train it every day. But if you practice these techniques regularly, your brain will naturally start thinking in English without effort.
That's right. So let's quickly review the tips. 1. Start with simple words and sentences. 2. Label things around you. 3. Talk to yourself in English. 4. Think in English before sleeping. 5. Imagine conversations. 6. Change the language on your devices. 7. Surround yourself with English every day. 8. Be patient and consistent.
Perfect. Now, let's move on to a special challenge to help you start thinking in English right away. Now, let's talk about something really important. Mental barriers. Many learners struggle to think in English not just because of vocabulary or grammar, but because of fear, self-doubt, and negative thinking. Julia, what do you think is one of the biggest mental barriers?
The first one is fear of making mistakes. Many learners worry that if they think or speak in English, they will make a mistake and people will laugh at them. But here's the truth. Mistakes are part of learning.
Absolutely. Every time you make a mistake, you learn something new. Even native speakers make mistakes. The key is to focus on communication, not perfection. Instead of thinking, "What if I say something wrong?" Try thinking, "How can I express my idea?"
That's a great mindset shift. Another big barrier is lack of confidence. Many learners think, "My English isn't good enough," or "I'll never be fluent." But confidence comes from practice, not perfection. The more you practice thinking in English, the more natural it will feel.
Yes. And here's a simple trick. Use positive self-talk. Instead of saying, "I'm bad at English," say, "I'm improving every day." Instead of, "I can't think in English," say, "I'm training my brain to think in English." Your words shape your mindset.
That's so powerful. Another mental barrier is translating out of habit. Many learners have spent years translating in their heads, so their brain automatically does it. But the good news is, you can train your brain to stop translating by practicing the tips we shared earlier.
Exactly. And the final barrier is getting discouraged too easily. Learning a language is a journey, and sometimes progress feels slow. But remember, every small step counts. Even if you think in English for just 5 minutes a day, you're making progress.
That's right. So, to overcome mental barriers, 1. Don't fear mistakes, they help you learn. 2. Build confidence by practicing regularly. 3. Use positive self-talk to stay motivated. 4. Break the habit of translating with daily practice. 5. Be patient and trust the process.
Yes, thinking in English is not about being perfect. It's about making progress. Now, let's move on to our final section, a summary and final encouragement for our listeners. All right, listeners, before we wrap up, we have a special challenge for you. If you really want to start thinking in English, you need to take action. So, Julia, what's the challenge?
Here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, try to think in English as much as possible. No translating, just simple English thoughts. And we'll break it down into 3 levels. Beginner level, name objects around you in English. For example, this is my phone. That's a cup of coffee. Intermediate level, describe your actions throughout the day. I'm walking to the store. I'm making lunch. Advanced level. Have a full conversation with yourself in English. Imagine talking to a friend about your day.
That's a great way to practice. And to make it even better, we want you to write a short journal entry in English before you go to bed. Just 1 or 2 sentences about your day, no matter how simple. This will help your brain start thinking in English naturally.
Yes, and if you want extra practice, leave a comment below this podcast with your English thoughts or a short sentence about your day. We'd love to hear from you.
That's right. Thinking in English is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with daily practice. So, take this challenge and start training your brain today.
You've got this. Keep practicing, stay patient, and soon thinking in English will feel completely natural.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you for joining us, and remember, think in English or stay stuck. See you in the next episode. All right, everyone. That brings us to the end of today's episode. We've covered why thinking in English is important, how to stop translating, practical tips to train your brain, and ways to overcome mental barriers. Now, it's your turn to take action.
Yes, start using the tips we shared and take the 24-hour challenge to think in English. Remember, small daily practice leads to big improvements.
And if you found this podcast helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more English learning content. Also, leave a comment below and tell us, what's one thing you'll do today to start thinking in English?
We love hearing from you, so stay connected and keep practicing. See you in the next episode.
Until next time, keep thinking in English.